Hey there, this is Matt with State of Flux here to continue my road to Avengers Doomsday, this time talking about Captain America, the first Avenger. A lot of people view this as the first Avengers MCU movie. I place it second. You can watch my Captain Marvel review where I explain that. But this is a great launch point because I think this is kind of an underrated movie. It's a movie where they get the character absolutely unequivocally right. Like, Captain America is a character that back in 2010, nobody really had any faith or investment in that character. They just didn't care. He was kind of like Superman in that sense, where unless you were a fan of the comic books, you really probably weren't going to be too terribly invested in the movie unless they get the character right. This time around, they got this character phenomenally right, and the casting of Chris Evans has a lot to do with it, but I don't think he's solely to do with it, and we'll come back to that in a moment. But I do want to sing Chris Evans' praises right now pretty loudly, because back when he was announced as the character, I was a little disappointed. Not because I didn't think he was a good actor. I thought he was a very good actor. He was just coming off of like Scott Pilgrim versus the World when they made the announcement, or maybe it was around that time that I knew he was in that movie. I was a big fan of that one. I was a big fan of the film Cellular and Not Another Teen Movie, and I thought he was easily the best part of the Fantastic Four movies as the Human Torch. But that's how I saw him, as that roguish, handsome, smack-talking kind of character. And that's just not Captain America. So I feared that he was going to play Captain America that way. And to be frank, I didn't think that he had this performance in him. I knew he was good at being the cool, slick, good-looking guy, but I didn't know that he could have this absolute virtue of goodness that he has about him in this role. So he was the thing that just blew me away with this movie, The First Avenger. But it wasn't only that. I think the reason also that Captain America, the character, works is because Markus and McFeely, the writers who would go on and write Cap in his best roles in all three of the Captain America movies, as well as the final two Avenger films that Cap has been a part of, they understood this character. They gave him a voice and they made it sing. And it works. They just purely knew how to not fix the character, but just bring him to the forefront. Because I think that's the want, is to fix this character, right? Like, that's what was wrong with Man of Steel, is they saw Superman as a character needing fixing, reinvented him or reinterpreted him, because modern society Superman couldn't exist in, right? I thought that's what they were going to do with this, and they didn't. They just gave us purely, and it was probably smart to set it in the past, Cap as he always has been and always should be, that pillar of goodness. It's time to talk about Joe Johnston. Joe Johnston is a good filmmaker. I think he has made some movies I really, really quite love. The Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is fantastic. I am a fan of Jurassic Park 3, though I know a lot of people aren't. I think that's a phenomenal B movie, and he really delivered in that respect. And he made The Rocketeer, which is also a fantastic film. So it kind of was a no-brainer for him. When he was announced as director, I had more faith in him than I had in Chris Evans. Or Markus and McFeely, for that matter, because all they had really done were the three Narnia movies they'd written. So I had a lot of faith in Joe Johnston, and I think he really works for this film's benefit as well. Is he just kind of riffing on what he did for The Rocketeer? Yeah, he is. But I don't think that in a bad way. I really like the pulpy nature of this story. Comics came from pulp, especially these ones. And the fact that you have this story that is grounded in reality, that is very, at least at the start, that is very, like, dramatic, but also allows itself flourishes of something a little bit more, something pulpy. You want a character that can do a balance of both of those things, and I think Joe Johnston is capable of doing that, as demonstrated in this. And I thought his integration of special effects in this film worked better than, say, Favreau's work in the Iron Man movies. I'm not saying Johnston's a better filmmaker than Favreau is, but with this respect, him coming out of the field of visual effects, he was able to do that integration really, really well. And I think you needed that to sell the wee Steve Rogers in the beginning. So, those are some of my early praises. I'm a big fan of this movie. This might be my favorite Captain America movie, not counting Captain America 3, because Captain America 3 is just kind of a soft Avengers movie. This movie acts as a sole Cap movie, and I know a lot of people really like The Winter Soldier, but for me, it's the first Avenger. I think they laid the groundwork expertly as to who these characters are, what makes them tick, and paints them compellingly, and you want to see all these people more. You just get a hint and suggestion of the Howling Commandos, but you want to see more of them. And you get the great Agent Carter, who I think is just absolutely gorgeous, as played by Hayley Atwell. But her character is interesting, and you want to see more from her. And it was not lost on me that when she got her own TV show, that made sense. At a point when none of these characters were getting spin-offs, it made absolute sense that she was the one that got a spin-off TV show. In the Disney Plus era, that's not all that shocking. We have our WandaVisions and Hawkeyes and things like that. But here, this was kind of something new that hadn't really been done before, besides like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it really, really worked. She takes ownership in this movie and in that show, and maybe we'll discuss that show at a later point in time. That being said, Red Skull is the big issue I take with it. Not that his performance is bad. I think fucking Elrond is really quite good. Why can't I remember his name? Oh my gosh, I'm aging out of my relevancy. Agent Smith. Jeez. He is quite good in the movie, to the point where it is a little disappointing that he doesn't continue to play him in future installments. But his arch villainy is just very on the back burner, pretty one note. For a character as dynamic and interesting as ultimately Red Skull is, that is a disappointment. But with that being kind of the only real complaint I have, I think this film captures visually the aesthetics of the era it is set in. It has a lot of winks and nudges at the audience, both for the films being established that have already come out, as it with obviously Howard Stark seeing the Stark Expo, as you saw in Iron Man 2, just a way back version of it. And seeing the ties to the world as we've already seen, but also talking about Odin and foreshadowing the movie that had just come out, that would be taking place far in the offing of this established film. That stuff is cool. Plus, like, there's a Human Torch at the Stark Expo, which I think is both a neat nod to the character as depicted in the early pulp comics that Timely Comics made, while also being a sly nod to who Chris Evans played in Fantastic Four. I like that. I also like the action is done. It's very simple action, but it is really kind of engaging action. My favorite scene is when he's beating up the Hydra agents inside the little the truck, and you're seeing the canvas getting punched out and stuff like that, and you're just hearing the action. It's very cool. it made me realize that Joe Johnston would have been an excellent filmmaker to make an Indiana Jones movie. I think far better than James Mangold, or Steven Spielberg for that matter, in his present day. It's too bad we'll never get a Joe Johnston Indiana Jones movie. Because I think, based on this, he could have done it and made it really fun and very pulpy and exactly what Indiana Jones needed. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Alan Silvestri does the score. The score is great in this, and establishes one of the key scores for the franchise with the Tesseract score, but also with Cap's theme that you hear briefly in the second movie, but comes around a couple times in the various Avenger movies that Silvestri does as well. I like it. This is a 4-star movie for me. I'm a big fan, and I love the ending with Cap waking up in modern day, how jarring it is, and how emotionally charged it is, knowing that he missed that dance with Peggy. Oh, breaks my heart every single time. And his heroic sacrifice downing the plane is fantastic. I watched this with my daughter, who's like, is he gonna die? And I'm like, no, this is the first movie. Obviously, Captain America lives on. But she was like wrapped up in that, and she liked this movie. She liked it a lot. She really liked Captain America's character, which I was really happy to see. And she was like, I asked her what she thought of it, and she said she liked it a lot, and she was surprised at how much action it was. There was just a lot of action, and I'm like, girl, do you think this movie has a lot of action? Just wait till we get to the Avengers or like its sequels. Heavens. Most people find this movie slow, but she was engaged the whole way. She really liked it. She really liked Cap. Yeah. So up next, I'm going to be reviewing Iron Man. I give this movie 4 out of 4 stars. It is, as I say, currently my favorite Captain America solo movie, and it is one of my favorites of the MCU Phase 1. Let me know what you think of Captain America the First Avenger. A lot of people kind of are unfairly mean to this, and I think they just don't really vibe with the pulpy nature of it because it's so kind of distinct from the other MCU movies, but I think that's what we need more of, weirdly, in this franchise, is distinct directors with distinct visions providing those visions. And I think you got that a lot with some of those early MCU movies. Again, Branagh with Thor brought that energy, and Whedon with the Avengers, and Favreau with Iron Man, that the later movies kind of lack because they were very samey feeling. Phase 1 has kind of certain distinctions, and this one probably being the biggest distinction of them all. And that's probably why people don't vibe with it, but honestly I think that's what we need to get to with the current slate of MCU and superhero films in general. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.